You're listening to The Pulse on AMI Audio. I'm Grant Hardy. Jam-packed show today. Later on, we're going to be talking with Elections Canada about some of the tools and resources for voting in the upcoming federal election. But first up, Click&Push Accessibility. This organization is making strides in accessible navigation. They were created from the Rehabilitation Robotics Laboratory within the Faculty of Rehabilitation Medicine at the University of Alberta. And here to tell me more is Arne Andres, their Director of Community Engagement for Click&Push Accessibility. Arne, first of all, welcome to The Pulse, and thank you for being on the show today.
Thank you for having me.
You've had a really fascinating and interesting life journey, and hopefully people are able to read more about the organization and you. And I just wanted to start with this. As someone who grew up in the Philippines with accessibility needs, now you've immigrated to Canada, you have a really interesting perspective on accessibility. So I'm curious, what are the big differences you notice with Canada versus the Philippines? And do you think that we are kind of on the right track?
That's actually a great question. So I had polio when I was little, and our poor community in the Philippines didn't have access to polio vaccine at that time. So I didn't walk, I could only crawl. So I used a wooden box as my means of transportation. And because of poverty, and we didn't have access to a wheelchair or any accommodation that I have now in going to school, you know. And my classmates back then, they would tie me in the post in the janitor's closet every time I would get a higher marks than them. So that was terrible and sad. So we don't have that kind of situation here in Canada, because now we have justice, we have systemic ableism, and the journey continues. So I'm here completing my master's in rehabilitation science at the University of Alberta.
Yeah, I mean, we definitely certainly still have a lot of ableism and bullying that people with disabilities might experience here, but I suppose we have, some at least some infrastructure, maybe more infrastructure from an accessibility perspective. Speaking of infrastructure, can we talk a little bit about Click&Push Accessibility, what your role is with the organization here, and what you guys are trying to do?
Yeah. So, like you mentioned, I am the director for marketing, external relations, and uh,
Like community, yeah.
communications with a disabled community. So my um, responsibility as a person using a wheelchair
Mhm.
is that we're developing an app. It is called Atlas, and it is used for navigation and barrier advisory tool that currently relies upon our communities of people who use wheelchairs like myself. But this kind of setup is prone to errors and impossible to update in real time.
Mhm.
So, my work, I'm studying master's in rehabilitation science at the U of A. My work takes more than that. I use AI and machine learning to automate the process of identifying barriers, its features, its descriptions, evaluate them for severity, including their location in the Atlas map, and then guidelines in improvements and retrofits, all optimized in real time.
So this is really interesting, and I'm curious for you to tell me more. Navigation apps are something that they're already huge. They're still developing. I think it's going to get a lot more exciting as projects like this continue. So rather than just getting users to report what they're seeing and experiencing, how do we use tools like AI, machine learning, image object recognition? Like how do those tools help with a project like this?
Yeah. So I right now I use GoPro camera attached to my wheelchair, and then it captures images and videos in real time. And then with the model that we are developing using computer vision, it will automate the process of identifying these barriers. And when you say machine learning, um, it requires a lot of parallel computational resources
Mhm.
for training and validation. So I'm using supercomputers from the University of British Columbia, McGill University in Montreal, and the University of Toronto. So um, that's what is different to make it real time and not prone to errors. So we're looking at more use of technology like the drones in the future. And then if ever we can develop a robot, like an agent that will
Mm.
assist us in accessing all the physical barriers. And
So
this is a pilot. And this is a pilot study. I'm sorry.
no,
So this is
yeah.
just the U of A, University of Alberta. So we're looking at the University of Calgary,
Mhm.
the city of Edmonton, the city of Vancouver, the city of Toronto,
So
because
oh, I'm sorry. Go
yeah,
ahead.
because um, there is a law, accessibility act in Canada,
Mm.
promulgated in 2019, and there it says that Canada will be barrier free in the year 2040. And it's
Mm.
already 2025. We only have 15 years to make this a reality. So our project will make it a wonderful possibility to make Canada barrier free.
Yeah, Canada 100%. We that 2040 deadline is very, very confident, and I think that there's still a lot, especially navigation is has really been a riddle for the disabled community, and it's really going to take work like this to make a dent in those accessibility barriers with navigation. So essentially what's happening here, as I understand it, is you're collecting images from a GoPro, but in the future it could be drones or cars, whatever it is. And then your computers, your AI models analyze those images. And what sort of things are they looking for?
Certainly. So,
Like,
um,
I guess you're basically looking for barriers in the environment, right? Whether it's
right.
a sign about a broken, you know.
Since this is a pilot study, so we're
Mhm,
limiting into doors,
mhm,
um, if there are steps, and if there are ramps on the doors. So we're looking all the features of the height and width of the door.
mhm,
If there are power buttons, the height of the power buttons, and if there are stairs, we measure the height of each step and the number of steps, and then the ramps and the handrails. We measure the width, the height of the handrail. So they are all done by object detection, because right now it's done manually
mhm.
using a measuring tape. So with the object detection, they're all done by the models, and it's analyzed and submitted for more uh, study and analysis using the models. Yeah.
So this is So this is a pilot project right now, a study, I should say. What sort of how do you feel things have been progressing, and what sort of feedback have you received from the project so far?
Yeah, I'm done with the doors. We can detect the features of the doors.
Mhm.
Now we're doing the stairs. So we're capturing the features of the stairs, the number of steps and the height of each steps. And then after that, we're going to do the the handrails. And then after that, we will compare the results using the AI model from the one that we did manually. So, and then we can do
Ah,
performance metrics. And then after that, we can add some steps on writing guidelines and how to improve and designs of retrofits on how this is done so that the stakeholders will be interested in using the technology because that's what they want, how much this will cost and how long does it take for all of this to be improved and retrofitted. Yeah,
so would you say that maybe you're looking at like a consumer component, i.e., someone who could identify barriers in their own environment, and also a component for those stakeholders, those people who are designing or retrofitting environments, as is it kind of like two different markets that you're looking at?
that's correct. Yeah.
Ah, that's going to be really cool for sure.
Mhm.
Mm. Um, yeah, that's so interesting. And what is some of the feedback have you've received so far, or just some of the most impactful moments working on this project for you?
That's okay. Am I okay to share a screen?
Um, I think just have a conversation. Is that okay?
Oh, all right. Okay. Because I can show some slides to describe uh, what impact and what we have done, and then what are the plans going forward to yeah,
I, I would say just
maybe just a yeah,
chat, because the
conversation.
thing
Yeah.
is this will there's an audio version as well that will be podcasted, and so yeah, I don't think we can have too many visuals beyond us just talking.
Oh, right. Okay.
Cameron, feel
And
free to interrupt me if that's wrong, but
I understand. Yeah.
okay. Um, yeah. So, what impact have you seen from the Atlas app so far?
Yeah. Well, as you said, there is a considerable amount of resources needed to make this the year 2040 as the barrier free Canada celebration. And aside from the fact that this is my master's thesis, so at this point, to continue my work in a PhD program to envision a smart city that we started with U of A, then with other cities and other universities, we are asking, funding agencies and even industry partners to support our wonderful goal of making Canada barrier free.
Where are you hoping to see this technology in the future?
It's a bigger project that the faculty, this is actually a collaboration of the Faculty of Rehabilitation Medicine and the Faculty of Civil Engineering. And we envision a smart city where everything is run with the technologies that we have using machine learning. And then part of that is focus on addressing the barrier free and accessibility barriers uh, in Edmonton, in Calgary, in Canada. So it's a smart city where the buildings are also considered in the study, its energy efficiency, its depreciation, the roads, the traffic, the transportation, so and even the health of everyone uh, is considered in the process. Envision as a smart city.
Yeah, so basically not just sort of retrofitting new concepts
No,
onto our existing cities, but like literally reimagining
right.
what a city actually is.
The actual city.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Um, what else is Click? So this app, Atlas, is available on the App Store and Google Play Store, I believe, so people can download this, explore it, uh, try it out. And you guys are working on another application as well, or what else is Click and Push working
Yeah,
on?
there's a wearable device that we are developing as well to be included in the Atlas app. So if you are on a wheelchair, the map will also um, signify the severity that a person with disability will encounter if they choose this route. And then if they choose another route, it will also tell the level of severity, when you're using a wheelchair. So there is a device attached to on the wheelchair to do all the measurements of the path. Yeah.
So kind of severity in terms of like incline and
Yeah,
terrain and that sort of thing.
to say basic, moderate, or severe level of difficulty. Yeah.
So, one interesting thing that I read is a little bit about you talking about some of the attitudinal barriers to accessibility as well.
Mhm.
How, what exactly are some ways that you think we can break these down? And even curious whether some of this technology might be helpful in breaking down some of those attitudinal barriers.
That's very good that you asked that question. This is actually my favorite because when I was attending classes in person.
Mhm.
So when I go to a class, uh, a classroom has to have at least one or two spaces for wheelchair, but they don't exist.
Mhm.
So, and even the teacher, as an educator, does not know how to accommodate a difficulty like that. So there is an attitude barrier, like, with respect to the teachers and also the other students and also the administrators, um, who are in charge of the program, as well as how to deliver the programs to make it inclusive for everybody. Like, because there's no wheelchair spaces, I have to bring my own desk that is accessible to me. You see, that's so hard. If you can see me tagging along a desk, running around campus just to attend class because the classrooms are not accessible.
Yeah, it's not reasonable. It's
It's
not
not,
fair.
yeah.
And one thing that would be really cool, though, just to think about, even with this technology, there's so many imaging parts of maps, that users contribute to on their devices. And I'm just thinking, making this a little more normal,
Mhm.
quote unquote. Maybe part of the images you're submitting to your maps relate to accessibility barriers, whatever it is, just putting this more in the mainstream. Maybe that can also reduce those attitudinal barriers as well.
That's correct. Yeah, that's right.
Where can people learn more about your work and maybe get involved? Just learn more about Click and Push.
Yeah, we do campaign events. Like we have, of course, the University of Alberta doing campaign events. We have other, like, construction company interested, Cameron Corporation. We have funding agencies like Edmonton Unlimited, because they want to see this happen. So, yeah, and hopefully
Fantastic.
we can get other partners to support our goal. Yeah.
And I believe the website there is Click and Push with an N, the letter N,
Yeah.
clickandpush.ca.
.ca. Yeah.
Arne, thank you so much for joining us today on the Pulse. Really appreciate your time.
Oh, thank you very much for having me.
That was Arne Andres, the Director of Community Engagement at Click and Push Accessibility. To learn more, their website is clickandpush.ca. That is the letter N. Again, clickandpush.ca. Before we wrap up today's show, let's hear from Elections Canada about the different ways you can cast your ballot before and during the election day. Dugald Maudsley is the Regional Media Advisor for Elections Canada. Welcome to the Pulse.
My pleasure, Grant.
So, if you have a disability, how is it best what are some of the ways that we can vote in the upcoming election?
Well, look, the reality is that there are 4 ways to vote for everybody, and whether you have a disability or not. And the one that most of us follow is to vote on election day on the 28th. But there are other options available to you. For example, you can vote today if you want to at any Elections Canada office. There are 500 around the country. You're voting by special ballot, which means that you go in, they give you a ballot, you choose the candidate that you'd like to vote for, you put that on the ballot, and you drop it into the ballot box. Another way to vote, of course, is at advance polls, and they're over the Easter weekend from the 18th to the 21st, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. And your advance poll will be on your voter information card, which should be arriving if it hasn't already. But you can go online to Elections Canada to My Voter Information, put in your postal code, and that'll give you all the information about your electoral district, where you vote for advance polls and for regular polls. And then last but not least, if you'd like to, you can vote by mail. And to do that, you have to apply to Elections Canada when they accept your application, and you can apply online. They'll send you a voting kit. Again, it's like a special ballot. You choose the candidate you want, you write it into the ballot, and then you mail it back to Elections Canada. The key thing here is you have to apply before the 22nd of April, and you have to make sure your ballot gets back to Elections Canada in Ottawa by Elections Day, the 28th of April.
Okay, so those are good to know. So essentially, like anytime between now and the election, if you have an Elections Canada office nearby, you can literally just drop in and vote anytime during business hours. Is the idea?
Yes, that's what the key thing with elections, the Elections Canada office, like voting by mail, you have to do it before the 22nd of April. But of course, you've got your advance polls from the 18th to the 21st, and then you've got election day on the 28th.
All right, brilliant. And on election day, showing up to the polling stations, what sort of accommodations or accessibility features would we expect to see?
Yeah, that's a good question. So when Elections Canada chooses the polling places, the returning officer uses something called a polling place suitability checklist. And what it does is it includes 37 criteria, 15 of which are mandatory. Now, those mandatory criteria include things like level access entrance, exterior building lighting, the width of the exterior doors, and making sure that the voting room is on the same level as the entrance. Now, the key thing for everyone is to be able to know, well, is my voting place accessible? And there's 2 ways to do that. First, it'll be on your voter information card, which, as I said, is either already sitting on your counter or hopefully will be there soon. It has all that information. But if you don't have that, you can go online to My Voter Information, put in your postal code, and up will come your electoral district. And it tells you exactly where your polling place is. And you can also then click on a link and it'll take you through all those mandatory criteria. So you can see if your polling place is accessible. 97% of them are, but there are some that aren't. And if yours is not accessible, what you can do is you can be issued something called a transfer certificate. And that basically allows you to vote at another a polling place in your electoral district that does meet those criteria. And you can go to your Elections Canada office to find out that information, or If you'd like me to give them, I can. There are 2 telephone numbers that you can.
Yeah, sure.
Okay,
That'd be great.
super. So one is 1-800-463-6868, and the other is TTY 1-800-361-8935.
Okay, so you can call up and they'll provide assistance with transferring to a different polling station if need be.
Exactly.
Okay, and so that's really good to know. And then in terms of attending a polling station and voting, what are the Elections Canada the officers there able to help with, and what would be their limitations, things they're not able to do?
Sure. Well, Elections Canada officers are trained to help, and there's a few specific things they can do. One is that they can actually assist you to cast your ballot. Now, in order to make sure that your ballot remains secret, they'll be asked to sign a written declaration. You can also, by the way, bring a friend if you want to, and they can assist you in marking your ballot. Again, for the secrecy case, they have to sign a written declaration. There's also the opportunity to have sign language interpretation. But in order for that to be available, you need to get a hold of Elections Canada by the 22nd of April so that they can make sure that help is there and available for you at the right polling station. And you can do that again by calling those numbers I mentioned earlier, or you can also go online and fill out a form that makes that service available to you.
So, in terms of alternate formats for the ballot, or if you want to try and cast your ballot on your own, how do you request an alternate format, and what type of formatting is available?
So, the interesting thing about the formats or available tools is that they're all there at the voting place. So, there's no need to request these kind of things in advance. They're there, and you can ask for them when you arrive. There are large print and braille lists of candidates. The large print, you can take in as a kind of a reference document to help guide you as you choose your candidate. The braille list of candidates basically provide braille lists of the candidate's name and their number on the ballot. And interestingly, these match the braille numbers on something called the braille template. So the braille template is you can put your ballot into the braille template, and it has embossed numbers that help you find the space beside the candidate of your choice. So by using the braille list of candidates and the braille voting template, it helps you choose your candidate and put a mark beside their name. There are also magnifiers, which help magnify your ballot, and they come with a light. There are large grip pencils, and you're welcome to bring your own large grip pencil or pen with you if you'd like. There are voting screens that let in more light, and in essence, those voting screens do not have a top to them. They just have the sides to provide secrecy. So there's a bit more light there. And there's also signature guides if you need help in terms of guiding it. They're a device that helps guide where your signature goes.
And just out of curiosity, for people, maybe a blind or partially sighted individual who's always just had someone help them sign the ballot, what exactly do you draw on the template next to your candidate of choice? Kind of like a circle or scribble, or what is it that you would do?
Well, they're usually looking for you to write an X.
Okay,
so you write the X and you're done.
Okay, brilliant. And any other, and correct me if I'm wrong, but in a federal election, we wouldn't see like a telephone voting or anything of that nature.
No, that is not, and doing that kind of thing would require the Canada Elections Act to be modified.
Right.
That requires Parliament. But yes, I mean, I think going with a friend to an Elections Canada office is certainly an option, and these things are available there. Having someone assist you to vote by mail is another option. There are a number of steps to vote by mail, but again, it gives you the flexibility, I suppose, to do things in your own space and in your own time. But yes, if you want to vote on advance polls, or on election day, these tools are there to assist. And as we talked about before, those Elections Canada officers are there to help as well.
Fantastic. Is there anything you would like to add? Any kind of other tips or information that people should know before heading out to the polls?
Well, the Elections Canada website is, full of great information, and there's also a number of other information that you can get that's in a Braille format or large print. And again, you can call Elections Canada, and they can mail these things to you. There's a guide to the federal election. There's a list of accepted ID. Those kind of things can be provided. As well, there are videos that people can access that are in sign language, which go through, how to vote, where to vote, just a lot of that basic information that we'd like to try to provide people to make it as easy as possible for them to vote. And those are all on the Elections Canada website.
Going to be super important for the disability community to get out there, cast your ballot in this election. And Dugald, the tips you provided are going to be really useful for the community. Thank you for coming on the Pulse today.
Thank you, Grant. My pleasure.
Thanks so much to Dugald Maudsley from Elections Canada for joining us today on the Pulse. The Pulse airs on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 1:30 p.m. Eastern on AMI Audio, repeating every 6 hours. You can also catch The Pulse on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. I'm Grant Hardy. Thanks so much for listening.